I learned quickly that just growing up the way that I did, things would be really difficult, that I was different. I knew that that was going to be the case for probably the rest of my life. When I was less than 1, I was involved in a fire that took my right leg, and shortly after I lost the leg, I was left abandoned on the streets of Nanjing, China, and later found at a 1.5 years old and taken to the local government orphanage, where I lived for the next 7 years, enduring some unimaginable hardships. I remember it being such a dark time. When I was adopted, I was only a month away from my 8th birthday. For me, it was just so tough to come here. I weighed 22 pounds at 7 years old, didn't speak a word of English, coming to a super small, a town of 1,600 people in northern Michigan, of all Caucasians, and just being overwhelmed. For me, one of the things that really defined my childhood was sports. I could always come to soccer practice, I could always come to the games, I was welcome to show up, but I was not always welcome to compete or play. I grew up thinking that here in America, people with disabilities didn't belong, that I was lesser than. People always ask if I could get my leg back, or if I didn't grow up in the conditions that I did, would I change it? And I would say no, because I have the courage and I have the perseverance that I have today because of that experience. I got my first running prosthetic when I was 14 years old, and when I ran, I felt like all the chains of my childhood, of my experience growing up in the orphanage, had been taken away. There was just something so magical from that experience of just feeling so unlimited. I said to myself, I'm never gonna be ashamed of who I am ever again. I'm gonna own who I am. I'm gonna own my story of my life journey. I'd found something that really made me feel whole. It was at UCLA that my sophomore year I was recruited by US Paralympics for track and field. And I think as a young girl who had always dreamed of being an athlete, competing at that level and being denied so many opportunities, the Paralympics was a home for me. Being able to compete at the Paralympic Games in Rio in 2016 is one of the greatest honors of my life. It just was so emotional for me to think back on my life of being a girl that lost her leg in a fire and was left on the streets and grew up in an orphanage, and all the hardships and all the no's that I heard throughout my life that I couldn't do this, I wouldn't be something. I run and I compete for all the girls that have been told that they would never win. And I don't mean just in sport, but in life. If you love who you are and you've owned and accepted your journey and your story, there's beauty in that.